Welcome back to our guide on importing a character into Super Smash Bros. 64. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at building tertiary items and assets associated with Smash Bros. Characters. What do I mean by tertiary? Well, a character in Smash Bros. 64 is not just the character and his attacks and his animations. You have stock icons, you have franchise icons, you have stages, you have character data, you have bonus levels. So we're going to start this subsection of the main guide essentially doing bit videos making each of the tertiary items. Today we're going to focus on the franchise icon. We're doing it first because using that icon will help build other assets we need as we step down the line. So what do I mean by the franchise icon? Well, if you look at the character results screen or you look at the character data screen, you will see the character's franchise logo in the background. For example, Link has a franchise logo of the Triforce, Mario has a mushroom, and Ness has a planet. We have to make that for our character that we're importing into Smash Brothers. So where is that? If we look at Golden Editor, and we go to Tools, and we then go down to Model Editor, we will load up what we saw before when we imported our character, the animation editor. What you want to do is find your ROM and find the end screen logos object. Once you have that, when you click edit, you will see pop up the Mario mushroom. If we go down to special parts on the right here, you'll see all these different options. Clicking on MISC, you can start clicking down the line, you will see these logos appear. This is what we're going to generate. This is what we're going to create. I'm going to make one for Brian. If we look at the icon for Ness, we'll use his because the image I have in question for Brian, pretty circular, and since we are replacing Ness, this one is what we'll replace. What I'm going to do is I'm going to export the geometry to an object. And once we have that, we save it as an FBX. Now we have the logo. If we go to our location, we'll go up to Brian. You can see we have our end object. Now, if we try and load that into Blender right now, let's import that FBX we just exported. Right here, you'll see it throws an error. That's because what was exported by Golden Editor is not usable in Blender. But we have a trick. Like we did with the Smash Brother character models, if we go to this program called Noesis, and we grab it, when you load it up, if you locate your folder and you find that model that we exported here, double-clicking it shows it appears. Then what we want to do is we want to File, we want to export that model, rename it, we'll say it's fixed, export. Once that's complete, when we go back to our model, now it imports. So if ever you want to use a model from Golden Editor, that's the process you want to follow. So this is our model. Notice how the model is pink when I go into the material preview. That's because there's a texture that's supposed to be there that does not get exported, but that's okay. What we do is we take said model and we're going to modify it. This model in question has 219 tries. I think before we actually do any modifications, let's discuss tries again. In Smash Bros. 64, we have a limited amount of tries each model can utilize before we start seeing adverse effects on the memory, on the speed, and the frame rate. That means we want to keep our models as small as possible. If we look at the different tries available for the logos, we can see that there's an actually large range. We have Ness's logo being 219, this planet being the largest out of the group, with Link's being the smallest of 3. It does make sense. Link's icon is essentially just 3 tries, so it makes sense that the Triforce would be 3. I'm going to try and keep it as low as possible, but given the icon I'm planning for Brian, we're probably going to end up capping it around 250. I think that might be a decent cutoff. I've got no justification for it, but that's what I'm choosing. So how are we actually going to make this icon? Well, that is where the magic happens. What you want to do is you want to make a plane first. So we're going to go to Add, you're going to go to Mesh and Plane. Make sure you're not inside Edit mode, this is outside. We're going to rotate that plane along the X-axis so it pops up. Now, since we're dealing with a circle, I know for a fact that I can make my plane about a circle. And then I'm going to grab it and I'm going to drag it along the Y-axis so that it lines up. This plane probably can go up a little bit. Maybe I'll shrink it a little. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. Now that we've done that, click on this. You want to go down. You want to add a material to that plane we created. You want to turn down the specular. We're going to go to Base Color, Image Texture, and now we're going to apply an image of the logo we're creating. Since we're dealing with Brian, I'm going to take this image here. This is the title screen logo, and you see it every time when you load up Quest 64 to the start screen. Notice how it looks stretched and wonky. If we actually look at the asset itself, you will see that the asset is a wonderful circle. So it's pretty close to what Ness has. In that case, what we're going to do is we're going to go to UV editing. We're going to come in. Let's shrink this, scale this down, and we'll scale this up a little bit. Maybe I'll grab that and raise it up. Grab that. There we go. And that's pretty good. Alright, perfect. Now that we have that in place, we can see that the logo for Brian is behind the Ness planet. We'll just click on that again, go into edit mode. I'm going to delete all of my vertices. And now we're going to start creating it. I am going to add a circle here. I'm going to go down here. I want to try and keep my tries down. And we know perfect circles are a lot of tries. So I'm going to say 12 for now. This is actually a lot of trial and error. So it's going to take time to get what you want exactly. Grow this here. There we go. Now, clicking E will make a duplicate of points. It's extending them. And I click S to shrink. Now we see this part. Since there's a lot of circles there, I think that would make a good point. And since I want to duplicate, if I hold Shift and D, that duplicates the points I have. Instead of extending them, I can shrink them down. It looks like there's another circle here. Also looks like my circles are off. Let's grab them and raise them up a little bit. Get them in the middle. That's about right. L, let's hit SX. Oh, wait. Let's hit E, SX. Oh, just S. We don't want to shrink it on the X-axis alone. Put that there. All right. Now we're getting toward the insides. I see this complicated little circle pattern. What I think I'll do is I'm going to extend these points. Let's go back for a second, grab them. All right, extend, and then we're going to merge at center. Do that. I'm going to bring them in. I want them all to be at the same location, so we're going to try and do it all at once. Merge that at center. Let's see here, extrude that, merge at center, and then this one right here, extrude that, merge at center. Now if I click on these 4 points, and then I S to shrink, pull them in, put that right there. There, that's not too bad. Now we got to get this circle going on. I can sort of see part of that. What we'll want to do then is, let's click on that. Let's go, actually let's do it based off of, let's subdivide each one of these. Subdivide, 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 subdivide. Now we've done that, and I go here, we have these extra points. I can expand these, and let's see here, do that. Now scale. That's not too bad. And let's do that for this side as well. It's not going to be perfect. If we want to, we could mirror things. But I'm just doing it quick and dirty. And the last one right here. All right, there we go. Now we've done that, let's highlight all of these points. Let's scale them to the big center. That's actually not too bad. And let's do some merging. So if I click on this point here, we can merge at center. And looking at it, there's a circle there. So if I leave it at like this, it's actually not bad. So let's repeat that for all of them. Merge at center, merge at center, merge at center. All right, and now we can do some tweaks on how I wish. This is a start. Right now, we've created a model with 76 tries. That's just this outer point. If we look at the actual detail inside of here, you can see that there's this sort of 4-pronged image with a circle on it in the middle that seems to be key. We're going to have to make some kind of concessions on that. And I know I see the staff here, but I don't think I'm going to have enough tries to make this match properly. If I wanted to get this staff in here, I'd need to cut this other icon in places. Would be here. That would be, if we wanted it to be proper, I'd have to add 2 here. Well, those 2 would exist. So that would be the 2. Yeah, we would be adding more than what we have. And then I also think, yeah, I don't think that's going to help trying to get the staff in there, from what I can see. So what I would recommend is simplifying. Remember, we're dealing with Smash 64. We want small models. If we look at this, that's going to be 2, 4, 6, 8, and this thing curves in. We could probably fake those 2. So that'd be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and then since this circle thing is here, if we even did that in groups of 3, which we were doing right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, so 12, that's 16. So potentially this would be 16 if I tried. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 16 times 16. I mean, that's already a lot from what we can tell. And if we're at 76, doing 16 by 16 more is going to be well over 250. So no, we're not going to have to do that. I'm going to probably cut them down, maybe try and make them simplistic W's. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here, I'm going to finish this model, and we're going to come back to the video, and we're going to discuss importing it into Smash Brothers. I'm now back. As you can see, the model that we were working on is slightly different than the one that I was showing earlier. I was working on it and I decided I did not like the curvature or the way it was looking, so I deleted most of that and I started anew, following the same process. But this is what I ended up with for Brian's logo. As you can see, these icon, or these parts of the icon that were 4 lines and circles, I turned into W's. I could not match them specifically because of this tries count. If we look down here at the moment, our level of tries is 244, which makes it already the largest logo that would be in the game. But I think that's going to be okay for now. We don't want all our logos to be as massive as possible. This one's highly complicated, so I'm trying to simplify it as much as I can, such as removing the staff. We're just not going to use it. Some things to note is while modifying the model, you want to make sure all of your normals are facing up. Well, how would you do that? You need to go to your material for one thing. When you come here, you see backface calling. You want to click on that. That means when you look at the back, it's invisible. How is this helpful? Well, say for example you're working on your model and you turn on backface calling. Potentially what you will see, let's do that, is this. As you can see here, there's a big hole. That's because the normals are facing the wrong direction. Very often in older games, they will not use, or they'll call the back faces of the polygons, meaning they don't show any textures on it. That's usually what happens, or that's usually what is happening when the golden editor is asking you to fix your normals upon import. They're sort of saying, oh, we think it should all be in this one direction. Problem is that allowing a computer to automate this, or hoping it does it automated correctly, is almost always going to lead to some form of unexpected outcome. We want to fix this ourselves. So when you are editing your model, if you turn off back faces and take a look at it and find that not all of your normals are facing the same direction, you go to your face, you highlight said face, mesh, normals, flip, and that puts them in the right direction. You want all of your normals facing outward. Now that we have all our normals in the right direction, what we want to do is fix the material, export, and then import into Smash64. What do I mean by that? Because we did a conversion with Noesis, it messed up the material itself, and the material decided to use an image. Specifically, they call it the diffuse texture, but that doesn't work. So, to fix this, what we do is we remove the old material and just add a new one. With the added new one, you want to go to the base color, and you want to make sure that its hex value is all Fs. That's because the replacement special textures we use looks for all Fs to replace it. Once we've done that, let's turn our metallic all the way up and our specular all the way up. And once that's complete, we can export as an FBX. File, export, FBX. You want to go to the location and just export it. Since it is an FBX, I would recommend, again, turning off bake animations and remove leaf bones. export said model, and then you're done. Then what we want to do is load Golden Editor and import it. So if you start Golden Editor fresh, always remember, switch your editor to Smash Brothers 64, go to Model Editor, and inside of here you want to go back to the end screen logos object, edit that. We're going to go down to the one we're importing over, which is this. Let me change our ROM. Then all you need to do is you go to Import and Add Object. We're not importing a texture, we are importing said model, so find your model, and then you want to import a special texture. Once you've done that, recalculate your normals, and it should be imported. Now, if we look at this special texture, as you can see, the color itself, the main color, that right there, FFFFFFF, is what is going to get replaced by all the other colors. With this mapping, it should put all the correct colors in the correct locations. You should see it working on data screen and the results screen. So let's take a look at it. Let's see how it has imported. Okay, so let's load up our ROM. If we look here, this is the ROM we were just editing. Click on it, load it up. Go to our data screen. As you can see, the icon is imported correctly. Let's do one more test. Let's take a look at
Free for all! Nest! Leave! Nest! 3, 2, 1, go! This game's winner is Nest!
As you can see, it worked on both screens. Now we have a model of our icon logo. We can then use it to create the smaller images that are used on the player screen while the character is running around, as well as on the stage select screen. To do those, I would recommend using the HaloFactory guide provided in the playlist, and I will cover how to make some of the other icons or a general tutorial in a later video. Want to give credit for a lot of the information presented in this video today to HaloFactory. If it was not for him, we would not have the special texture mapping that would allow us to import the models correctly and have the colors accurate on the different screens. So kudos to him. Thank you, and see you next time.